So my Dogman encounter wasn't just terrifying. It was life altering and absolutely changed the way I saw the entire world. If you would have ever told me that going into the woods would lead to me experiencing something like this, and then if you had proof, if you could prove it to me, I promise you one thing. I wouldn't visit a national park. I wouldn't go hunting. I wouldn't go fishing. I wouldn't go to a city park in downtown New York, let alone into the woods of Louisiana. Now, this happened when my brother and I went hogging. And these are the same woods north of Shreveport that we've hunted since we were children. Never encountered anything like this. Imagine a scene. My brother Josh and I have been hog hunting at night on our side-by-side for months. We did absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing new at all. We had the same clothes we always wore, same weapons we always carried. Hell, we had the same mud on the bottom of our boots. Now, I say that we did nothing, I mean absolutely nothing to provoke this. We didn't do anything. Get this, 7 p.m., we're out there, we're trying to get to where the hogs. And there's this dirt road that everybody uses to travel back through there on their side-by-sides. So we're riding along that road. The headlights are illuminating everything in front of us. And we get about half a mile from the place where you normally turn off that road and into this open field. Like I said, we're halfway down the road on our way to this entrance when we see this small tree laying across the roadway. In our minds, it wasn't super duper spooky, so let me paint a better picture for you. Imagine you're riding on the side-by-side. There's trees on your right-hand side. There's trees on your left-hand side. They don't arch over and create a dome. It's nothing super spooky like that. It's just kind of this sparse trees on your left and right. Well, we're riding along, and one of those trees on the right-hand side is knocked down into the road. The two of us look at each other, and it's like, how in the hell did this happen? But we think nothing of it. I hop out, go to the back, grab a chain, hook that chain to the front bumper, then hook the other part of the chain to the tree, hit it in reverse, back it up out of there, boom, problem. But get this, as I'm climbing back into the side-by-side, you start to hear the coyotes howling off in the distance. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 freaking coyotes, man. I'm talking about 20, 30 coyotes howling. Then it sounds like there's this gigantic freaking fight going down, like coyote versus coyote, savage WWE SmackDown foolishness way off up in the woods. Nonetheless, that's none of our business. We keep riding forward. Now, as we're riding along, we get a couple of 100 yards away from the entrance where you turn into that field where all the hogs are, and we see this coyote come out into the road. And this is where stuff starts to get really, really weird. Because if you know anything about a single coyote is extremely skittish. They're not really brave at all. But this coyote comes out and lays out in the middle of the dirt roadway. We keep riding. Now, we're 10 feet away from this thing, and it stands up and starts to growl at us. And we're like, yo, what the hell is wrong with this coyote? Maybe it's like rabid or it's going crazy. It growls, takes off into the field. Now, pause right here in this story for a moment, and let me say this. What we experienced next, unlike anything we ever experienced before, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to experience it again because I'm never going there again. 2 of us turn off that roadway, go down this little ditch, come up, and go into the field. Now, prior to this, every time we went into this field, it was full of hogs. I mean, you drive 20, 30 yards into that field, and the hogs start running. Well, we get 20 yards, looking around, no hog. 50 yards, looking around, no hog. 100 yards, looking around, no hogs. By the time we get 300, 400 yards into this area and we see no hogs, something's wrong. I'm saying to my brother, listen, man, something's wrong. And so you can really understand how it's set up. If you keep riding north on that field, eventually it runs into this power line right away, where they got those big old massive transmission lines, the big lattice towers, with the lines that slope down and span for hundreds of yards. And if you're standing out there in the daytime, you'll see them way, way, way out there in the distance. Well, my brother and I keep on driving, and we looking for these hogs. Now we got the spotlights out, shining left, shining right. There is not a hog anywhere in sight. I'm not going to be able to give you a distance in like feet or yards how far we went, because I can't even tell you this. But I could tell you, based on the fact that I could see those transmission poles, But I could tell you based on the fact that I could see those transmission poles when I found the light, man, we was way back up in there. So now Josh comes up with this suggestion. He said, listen, let's do this. Let's turn off the side-by-side, get out and listen, and maybe we can hear the hogs off in the distance. So we killed the engine, killed the lights, get out, and we're just standing there listening. But don't hear anything. Let me paint a picture for you. Passenger side of the side-by-side, driver side of the side-by-side. I'm scanning my light back and forth, right? And I come to the realization that, yo, it's extremely quiet out. I'm talking about that weird hair standing up on your arms, freaky feeling quiet. You don't hear any insects, not even crickets. And as I'm shining that light, man, you don't see any animals at all. Not a fox, not a coyote. Hell, not even a rat or a mouse is out in this field. And this feeling comes over me. A feeling that's like, listen, you need to get the hell up out of here because something's not right. When I look over in that direction, he's shining that light over to his left and his hand is shaking. Lights dancing all around. But he's still saying nothing to me. So I walk around to where he is and he says, shh, talk. Now get this, I'm looking in the direction into which he's shining that light, and there is this pile of hogs. And I don't mean like a pile of hogs all grouped together because they're afraid or they've been corralled by a trap. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there is a pile of dead hog carcasses, about 40 to 50 of them, all piled up right there in the field. And I'm talking about heads are ripped off, legs are ripped off, guts is hanging all over the place. It's a hog massacre in this field. Josh says, do you see it? And I'm like, yes, what is going on? Now, as his hand is still shaking, he's trying to shine that light back to the right of those hogs. Now, listen to me closely when I tell this to you. That light shines on 3. Count 1, 2, 3. Jet black dogmen standing on their hind legs. They have their backs turned to us, hunched over, standing there, eating hogs. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen something and just didn't want to believe what you were seeing? I mean, you told yourself, nah, this is not real. Well, that's what I started saying to myself, man, this can't be real. There's no way on the planet that this is real. I was wrong, because the one on the far right turns, looks over its shoulder at us, and it makes this face like, are you still here? Like it was annoyed with our presence. Then it rolls its lips back, shows its teeth, and lets out a growl. Like, you better get out of here before I come over there and eat you. Listen, I've heard a whole bunch of people say that Dogman uses minds, like they speak to you in your mind. I didn't experience anything like that at all. It was pure, primal body language. If you've ever owned a dog, and you know the face that the dog makes when you try to take its bone, and it kind of snaps at you, like, you better leave my food alone. That's the face that this thing was making, except for its face was bigger than any dog face I had ever seen. Listen, I can't tell you why my brother just stood there. Maybe he was frozen in fear, but now I'm climbing behind the wheel, saying in a low voice, Josh, get in. Come on, Josh, now I need you to get in. Come on, Josh, get in. Josh, I need you to get in here. But he doesn't move. He's just standing there. He's just standing there, lighting his hand, shaking. Finally, I reach out and pull him by the back of his pants and say, get yo in here. That light drops out of his hand. And when I tell you, I remember this clear as day. You know how on the old cartoon Scooby-Doo's, where Scooby and Scrappy will be walking and they had a flashlight and they would take off running and the flashlight would be flipping in the air, but they were gone? That's exactly what Josh did. That light is flipping around in the air. His body is gone, coming around the other side to jump in. Once he's in, I hit the gas, make a U-turn, and I'm flooring it. Now, if you've ever been in a side-by-side, you know what it's like to ride around in one of those. They're designed for you to cross over rough terrain, but they're not really designed for you to just be full speed going across open fields, hitting bumps and going through ditches. But that is exactly what the hell we were doing. I'm riding full speed, and we're bouncing around back and forth, left and right. The damn thing almost turned over because we hit this giant hole. Nonetheless, we come out of that field, and it's time to go up on that road. But to get in the field, you had to go down this ditch. Josh is screaming, slow down, slow down, slow down. But I start to angle that side by side to when we went down and came up out of that ditch, Wham! We landed right on the road and kept on going. Listen to me when I say this. That was the most terrifying ride through the woods in the night, in the dark, I've ever experienced in my life. It felt like they were chasing us, but in the back of my mind, I knew that they couldn't have been chasing us because we were moving fast, but nowhere near as fast as those things could have run based on what I saw. But that panic and that fear is all over your body. It's under your skin. And I'm flooring it. Now, man, let me say this to you. When we get back to the area where we parked our trailer, I'll be honest with you, I probably should have slowed down a little bit and didn't do what I did, but I hit that ramp, it damn near flew off of the trail. Luckily, I didn't go off. It hit the railing, bam, stop. I hop off, lift the gates, lock the gates back, hop in, and we pull off. Didn't lock the rest of it down, didn't care, none of that. Come hella high water, I was getting up out of it. Now, later on, Josh told me that the entire time that we were escaping, that I was crying, like full on in tears crying. And I'm not going to dispute the fact that maybe I was crying, but it didn't make me a loup because I was crying because I was afraid. If you saw some like that, wouldn't you be afraid? Wouldn't you be crying?